No screaming. A, it's too hot. B, I have the window open. C, I have to maintain my mother's opinion of me so she doesn't turn off the air conditioning, even though it's not enough. God, my folders are all messed up. Or maybe not. I can't even tell at this point. I'm so uncomfortable right now. Fuck. Everything's so sticky. God damn it. I was definitely having an easier time ignoring the level of discomfort I was in when I wasn't trying to speak. If BaalBuddy has 1 viewer, it is me. If BaalBuddy has 0 viewers, I am dead. Wrong. I will always have the bots that are like get free promotion, promote yourself to millions of potential subscribers. At this point on the internet, I literally cannot tell if I'm speaking to bots anymore. I was about to announce that I was starting to stream on Twitter, and I looked at the right part of the Twitter menu, and it says trending, Sharia law, and I'm like, oh, of course Sharia law is trending because a Muslim guy won the New York City mayor election. This must be it. And I checked it, and of course that was what it was, the reason why it was trending. And then we have all these people named like Texas Patriot, white woman, or something like that, being like, I pray to God that Donald Trump has the strength to make Muslims illegal. I'm just like, I can't tell what percentage of these people are real Republican voters, fake Republican voters, influencers or Chinese nationalist communist bots trying to sow unrest in the country at this point. It literally could be any of those. Donald Trump, please drop the F-bomb on the mayor. I think we should just have people just swearing more in general. Honestly, it's kind of shocking that we didn't really have a Trump F-bomb moment until recently. Did Trump say fuck on camera at any point until now? Because you'd feel like he'd say it sooner than this, but... Not to defend Trump, but if there's anything that can make somebody be like, just drop a fucking F-bomb, it would be trying to broker a peace deal between Israel and Iran. And them both behaving like just absolute retards. For what it's worth, China probably does have the capability to derail U.S. politics, but why would they? Oh, I'm not suggesting that China has thousands and thousands of bots on Twitter trying to derail U.S. politics. I know they do because you can literally find them. Like, they're right there. That's not up for debate. I'm just saying that some of the fake Republicans might be better hidden Chinese political propagandists than usual. But you can find the Chinese, not even bots, but just like posters pretty frequently. If you're on Twitter enough. Just like a 20-minute search on stuff for Twitter. You can immediately find Chinese Twitter propagandists that are literally employed by the Chinese Communist Party, so... I see you're whimsy maxing with the ambience. Yeah, it's too hot and groggy for me to be like full speed, getting super angry and shit. Doing my Metal Gear Rising stuff. Here, let's see what happens if I type Uyghurs into my Twitter search. Mostly getting left-wing stuff. Cool it with the hard R. I can't tell if you're supposed to spell Uyghurs with a Y or an I. Also, I feel like the hard R is a recent development because the concept of the hard R would suggest that as a white man I'm allowed to say the N-word if I use the A ending instead of the R ending. But I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So why are we trying to make that distinction? Like, I don't think there's any situation in which you can get out of your trouble being like, no, 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 I said it with an A. Depends on if you have the pass. Only Al Pacino is allowed to say the N-word when he's in full Scarface mode, pretending to be a fake Colombian. Everybody else, nobody else has the pass. Are we talking about Uyghurs? I was trying to find a Chinese propaganda bot on Twitter, and I was trying to figure out what keywords I would have to find to get the bot accounts immediately. There was a point in China where they were doing anti-COVID lockdown protests, and if you would put in the names of any of the Chinese cities in which the protests were going on, there were Chinese, not even bots, but I think they were actual people at the time, like just straight up posting thousands and thousands of red light district prostitute ads. So if you typed in like Shanghai or something, you'd get thousands and thousands of posts about like Chinese prostitutes, and this was being done by the Chinese firewall censors to make sure, because they didn't have the ability to just straight up stop people from looking up information, so they were trying to drown out whatever local video footage might come up by having a million just like spam posts. The funny thing was it didn't seem like they had a bot script running, because the posts, they were coming pretty quickly, but they weren't coming fast enough. Maybe they get blocked if they actually were using bots, but it was a very interesting time. I went and checked it myself because I'm fascinated with the Chinese like low technology censorship that shit that they have to do to try and influence the West. My friend Zach gave it to me in middle school, though. I too had a black friend. Just kidding. I have no friends. I don't know. There was one black friend guy I had in college, which, unsurprising for a liberal arts college, was extremely white. He was Kevin, and he did nothing to dispel the stereotype of black people, because when I went into his dorm room, it was an absolute mess, except for the fact that he had like 200 pairs of sneakers that were properly displayed on the wall. But everything else about the room was like shitty. I was just like, Jesus, Kevin. Why are you so intent on displaying your sneakers? He was like, they look great, don't they? I was like, I think you're being a stereotypical black person right now. He was a Kobe fan. As expected of Kobe fans. The lowest of the low of NBA fandom. Their old commie uncle surveillance culture is very real, though. Same thing in old Soviet Union, Eastern Bloc. I think people have wrongly interpreted China as a capitalist country because they engage in so much money making, but I think we actually need to think about them more like the old USSR than the modern version. The more I learn about it, it just seems like it's just a Soviet country, basically. Like the weird type of technology, the anachronistic technology they have, despite like pretending that they're like 10,000 years in the future. The fact that every single thing is just propaganda, etc. Their culture is collectivist, doesn't matter if Cappy or Kami. I don't think China is as collectivist, actually. I think the Chinese person mentality actually goes much better with capitalism than like, I don't know, people think. Like, I think China is much more of an individualistic, profit-based, money-making society than, say, the Soviets were. Capitalism can be collectivist. I don't think the Chinese capitalism is collectivist, though. I think that's just the party line. I think the Communist Party is trying to keep it collectivist, but it's not actually collectivist. Like, they have to put in a lot of effort to keep it on the rails. It's certainly more collectivist, even historically, than the Soviet Union, in my opinion. I mean, what is the definition for collectivist? Giving a group priority over each individual in it. An adherent of the practice or principle of giving a group priority over each individual in it. An entire nation of collectivists. Like, I'm not going to argue that the Communist Party isn't collectivist, because of course they have to be, but I don't think the individual people on the ground in China have that collectivist mentality. I think they're hyper-individualistic, actually. And most of Chinese behavior is like just all about, I'm going to get mine, and I don't care about anybody else. Which is, it's very closer to America in that aspect, I think. Like, you know, everything is fucking polluted because people don't mind of just throwing shit away into the local river. That's not really collectivist, right? You're making everything worse for everybody, including yourself. I heard the difference with capitalism in China is that companies and billionaires can't buy their way into politics. I feel like the best way to think about China is that it's very similar to America in its capitalist mentality, but instead of the billionaires controlling the politicians control the billionaires. And even if you're a billionaire, there's no way to escape the possibility that if you step on the wrong side of a politician, they're just going to straight up, send you to a gulag and that you'll never be seen again. It's like America with slightly more political control. They have the concept of filial piety and killing 9 generations. They have the concept. Sure. But everything I've seen in my life would suggest that China is a highly individual-based, self-centered, money-making focused country. It's still rooted in their culture, and not even Russia had that. I don't know, man. When I was reading a New York Times article about, it was like something about people suffering in some shitty part of Russia, and they actually interviewed like a local old woman, and she was like, Putin is a good Tsar. She literally called Putin a Tsar, and I was like, holy shit. They actually still haven't escaped Tsarism. Funny as shit. Old habits really die hard. What you're seeing only reinforces the collectivist thing. Social status is everything to them. I mean, I feel like we need to define what it means to be a collectivist. If we're gonna go that deep into that debate. Chinese Zoomers hate the firewall? Of course they do. How are they gonna get the gooning? The essential gooning nutrients they require. This masturbation isn't gonna happen on its own. An individualist culture will tolerate or even endorse people who are going against the grain. I have yet to see evidence that China has any kind of like sense of teamwork or like look at their sports for example. China has one of some of the largest population in the world and has the money to and like government funding and doping set up to fund their sports, and they can dominate in individual like communist shit like diving and stuff, but they can't do any kind of like team sports like soccer or basketball despite having a shit ton of basketball fans. And I feel like that is just like a direct result of them being more focused on individual shit than being able to do some sort of team mentality. China is asshole. Taiwan and Hong Kong #1. Both are part of China. We all know that Taiwan is a province of China. They are one and the same, guys. Which is why China doesn't have to attack Taiwan, because Taiwan already belongs to China. Isn't that right, fellow government censors? Shaolin soccer is their only successful soccer play. The fact that China is full of NBA fans and full of basketball fans, and they can't even like qualify for shit like the Olympics or the World Championships, says a lot about they just there's something about them that makes them incapable at team sports. Like they can't even compete with countries with populations 1/50th of their size and 1/10 of the GDP and stuff. Why does it happen that way? I don't know, but something about their societal organization just doesn't stack up. The world belongs to Taiwan. They certainly have us all by the balls with the microchip production. I don't know, man. I feel like if Taiwan actually got invaded by China and America was actually forced to produce microchips in America, they'd be able to figure something out in a few months. I feel like half of the shit where people are like, we can't do this because of technology is like, actually like, I don't want to do it because it's too expensive and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of robustness leeway that various industries have that they try and minimize because they know it's not profitable. You're thinking of the wrong field. They can dominate in a sports team gaming like League of Legos or Dota. When was the last time China won a Dota, the international? It's been a while, hasn't it? We had like, what, 2 years of OG? Dota international winners. It was, we're going Team Liquid, Team Spirit, Tundra Esports, Team Spirit, OG, Team Liquid. The last time was Wings Gaming that China won. You can post the Crying Pepe emoji to show how nostalgic you are about Wings Gaming. R.I.P. Wings. Keck W. They dominate League, though. I don't give a fuck about League. I don't care how popular it is. I tried watching League for like 5 seconds. I just don't like the color scheme, okay? Don't fall into the league trap. How can you guys tolerate that shit? I don't know, man. It just seems like you would figure out that you're wasting your life after the 10th league match in which Gaben, I know it's not Gaben, but Gaben adjusts the formula so you can't actually continue to climb the ladder or whatever. I don't know, man. Playing a game that requires 5 people to cooperate on the internet instead of shouting at each other like a bunch of fucking monkeys just sounds like the worst way to spend my afternoon. I can't imagine a less pleasurable way to spend my life than playing League of Legends. I'm still wasting my life anyway. Why not do it while crying and gooting to $500 Ari skin? Also, Ari is just extremely generic fox girl. I can't even promote her just from a gooning standpoint. Surely we can do better, guys. At least Dota has a drow in it as a certified elf fucker. Worship Ari, your K-pop idol. They have their own pop idol skin line. I know about this because I too masturbate. I knew what KDA was, even though I have not played a single game of League and I never will. Also, it really bugs me in the KDA porn Ari skin how her tails are made out of crystal and then they're having sex with her, even like ignoring how incredibly uncomfortable it would be to have these like rock formations coming out of her ass. Just imagining how uncomfortable it would be to try and have sex with a woman who's essentially like a coffee table with all these crystal tails just sort of jutting out of her backside. It just seems like the worst kind of experience. Glad to know you have priorities. Masturbation is always the highest priority. Also, if there's one good thing that China has produced in the last like 4 years, is that at least all of the porn has been replaced from League of Legends porn to Genshin and Zenless and Wuthering Waves porn. At least we're getting different porn. It's all AI, of course. AI and BBC NTR content, but I was getting really sick of the limited amount of hot girls that League of Legends has. At least the gacha shit going mainstream has provided us with a wider variety of things to masturbate to. Don't say Genshin. I played about 10 minutes of Genshin on my PlayStation 4, and I usually can ignore pretty bad graphics, but the optimization for the PS4 was so fucking bad. Like, there was just constantly trees popping in the background, and I was just like, no, we're not doing this. Also, this just looks like a generic 7 out of 10 Konami made, maybe not Konami, you know, Bandai Namco made. Wait, who makes Tails? I can't remember. It felt like Tails except worse, and I don't think Tails is particularly good, so that says a lot about, you know, the low quality of Genshin. The only thing Genshin is good for is for people to generate 10 billion images of hilichurl BBC porn of the various female characters, or male characters, I guess, if we're going that route. There's a bunch of League waifus. There's like 6. God, the BBC cuckoldry shit absolutely exploded. You can blame the Koreans for that one. Koreans don't masturbate to NTR content challenge. Difficulty impossible. As someone who just wants to see giant penises and doesn't care what color they are, it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. Koreans busy with gender wars. It all sort of comes together. The gender wars and the focus on NTR porn definitely come from the same place. People just enjoy being miserable in Korea for one reason or the other. Ball loves BBC and BWC equally. Yeah, I'm not racist enough to truly enjoy the BBC content. I assume that BBC enjoyers are like, no, she's having sex with a black person. That's unlike me. No, but, you know, I'm not really racist enough to have that, like, feeling that my anime waifu is being defiled just because the penis is a slight shade darker than, you know, the other penis. I'm not triggered properly, so I can't have the full Korean NTR enjoyment. But I try, you know. Akali redesign, who are the rest? As someone who's never played any League of Legends, these are the most seen League of Legends heroes that you see in porn. It's Ninja Girl, Fox Girl, Crazy Harlequin, I'm So Crazy, also My Chest is Flat Girl, Lesbian 1, Lesbian 2, one Snow Bunnies 1 through 3, some blonde bitch. I think that's all of them. I think I got all of them. I can't name anymore. I think that's it. And then the other members of the Korean pop group that aren't Ninja Girl and Fox Girl. Meanwhile, Dota has much better female gooning material options. It has the dead woman, it has the other dead woman, and it has the third dead woman. You have 3 dead women to choose from. It has Purple Elf 1 and Purple Elf 2. It has Tidehunter, my husband. I don't know anything about Dota other than the fact that they're just trying to maximize Tidehunter's ult, and even if a team is down, announcers are always going to be like, well, they still have 1 Ravage left. Maybe they can flip the team fight? No, it wasn't enough. It was a good try. They tried to use the Ravage, but it didn't work. I never got into MOBAs. I really tried. I got into Paragon. You guys know Paragon? Because I don't like the top-down mouse clicky style. But Paragon came out on PS4 and I was like, this is my game. I fucking love MOBAs. And it was being made by Epic. It was being made by Epic about 6 months ahead of the schedule at which Fortnite was made. And then we can all guess what happened to their not that profitable game when Fortnite became popular. Everything was fucking canceled. Paragon is back. Yeah, it's called Predecessor. At least Epic was nice enough to release all their assets. So yeah, you can still play Paragon. They're trying to remake it. I was playing a little bit of Predecessor, and I was like, wait, I can't be wasting my fucking life playing a MOBA. This is a horrible decision. I need to stop playing this. So I made sure to uninstall it, and I haven't touched it since. Because I was recognizing that I was wasting my life. I'm supposed to be drawing, of course, so... We do not have time to be playing a MOBA. We don't have time to be playing video games in general, but we definitely don't have time to be playing a MOBA. Paragon was okay, pretty much the only MOBA I could somewhat play. My complaint with Paragon was that it was best in its alpha stage, and as they tried to improve it, it kept on getting worse. It had like a very unique play feel if you got in it during the alpha, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I kept on playing it in the beta and so on, but it kept on getting worse and worse and worse every time they would change it, and eventually they canceled it. And it's still somewhat playable, but it's pretty rare for me to play a game and I'm like, wow, every update they're just making it... I don't like it even more. What the fuck? Unless you're playing with friends, what the fuck are you doing playing MOBAs? Raging. It's the only way we can feel alive, us gamers. We need to feel something, anything. Even if it's just seething rage against our Brazilian teammates who tried to throne too early and team wiped and fucking ruined the huge gold advantage we had. Why rage when you can goon? I feel like the raging makes the gooning even better. Just kidding. I stopped playing MOBAs. I haven't been angry at a video game in a long, long time because I haven't been properly playing multiplayer, so... Everyone wants to play middle lane and players get reported for literally anything. Is it hard to find supports? I only know the MMORPG version of this thing, which is why I would always play tank, because I would hate sitting in queue for, 20 minutes. Everybody wants to fucking play the DPS and see their numbers. And I'm like, I'm not waiting in queue forever. I'm just going to play tank. And if you play tank, also for healer as well, but it's usually tank is the number one where they're just always low on people. So if you play tank in an MMO, you can always just instant queue. If you try and play support in a MOBA, is that the same? I guess it depends whether you have lane-based matchmaking or whatever. You'd think that with the massive population that League has, it would be pretty easier to find enough players, but probably not if they're going to be too picky about the skill-based matchmaking. When being less skilled is seen as an insult to your teammates, it's a game that from the start always ate at its own player base. The thing about MOBAs is the reason why they're more popular than fighting games is because you can always convince casuals and people who aren't good at the game that the reason why they lost was because their teammates were shit, and the reason why they won was because they're incredibly awesome and they're the best player on the planet. And they never really have to look at their own shittiness as a player in the eye. They can always blame somebody else. And those people will never play a one-on-one fighting game because then they have to come to terms with the fact that they're not good. So eventually the population is going to eat away at itself, but at its core it's way easier to find more players because, you know, you can always just be like, oh, it's not your fault. Gaben making sure that you get your Valve skill adjusted auto wins. That would be ADC, but then you have to nanny your partner. You know what? I often say a lot of misogynistic things about women, but bless their soul for being willing to play the heel slut character. I sure as hell am not gonna babysit these fucking brain dead DPS that are walking into these glowing bubbles that annihilate their hit points and then healing their stupid ass back to full. Some of my favorite memories of playing MOBAs, not MOBAs, MMORPGs, is when the DPS like have a fucking tantrum because they're DPS players, and then just me, the tank, and then the healer just clear the dungeon just by ourselves. It's like, yeah, you pieces of shit we didn't even need you in the first place. We both can do damage. You're literally worthless. Because, you know, most dungeons don't even have damage checks, so... Calling your most essential support heal slut is part of the problem. I meant it in a kind-hearted way. No, I didn't. I'm just kidding. Look, I wouldn't have to call the healer the heal slut if all of you didn't play cat girls. Come on. Let's not pretend that every healer isn't am I so cute, ooh cat girl. Because it is. When was the last time you saw your healer and it was a giant giga buff barbarian dude? If it's the giga buff barbarian dude playing healer, you know he's on like job number 50 right now. Naruto Sakura was a healer, right? Orihime was a support kit. Yep. It's literally like all the female characters have to heal. We must represent the female's maternalistic energy by making them only good for healing the main character after they've been hurt. The only exception to this rule is JoJo. JoJo has non-heal slut healers. Crazy Diamond! How have you been? I'm overheating, but it's not as bad as the last 2 days, so I figured I will not escape my room and I will just stream a little bit. DBC Krillin is the Senzu Bean heal slut. Everybody can throw the Senzu Beans. Actually, Dende is the true heal slut. It's always like, Dende, get your green ass over here and do your healing shit now. Also, Dragon Ball doesn't count because there's literally no team battle. Toriyama wasn't like... See, in Naruto, we rag on Sakura for being kind of worthless because we expect there to be, like, equal power levels. But in Dragon Ball, it's almost always just like, well, there's no way to solve this problem except if Goku becomes, like, a new version of Super Saiyan. Everyone's favorite version of this is, of course, in the end of the Cell Saga when Chen shows up and he's like, I left Jiaozu. There's no way he can keep up to this battle. And it's just like, bro, nobody is keeping up with this battle. Besides, like, fucking Goku. What is this shit? Krillin is definitely heel slut for Android 18. Is he though? I mean, can you even fix androids with, like, without repairing them? I feel like Bulma is the heel slut for Android 18. Bulma can fix everything except when she can't. It's literally like plot-based technological stuff. So in JoJo, both Part 4 and Part 5, the main character is the heel slut. Uh, I can't remember who was the healer in Part 6. Was it Foo Fighters? I can't remember. And then I guess Part 7 is a heel slut because it's, what's her name? She has like a meat spray or something. I can't remember Part 7 very well. I believe the Part 7 healer was a female. There always has to be a healer in JoJo because, like, in literally every single stand battle, there's a scene in which, like, your head gets blown off and, like, part of the skull is coming off. And it's like, don't worry, Jotaro's fine. We just need to fucking heal him up a little bit. Is JoJo worth watching? I would recommend you read the manga instead of watching it. You'll appreciate the anime more if you read the manga first. If you don't like the manga, you probably won't like the anime. It's pretty faithful to the original. So, you should probably just read the manga and then decide whether you want to watch the anime. The water parasite healed them, right? Don't try and explain JoJo logic. It doesn't make sense. Here, let's ask Grok how Foo Fighters heals people. Grok, in JoJo Part 6, please explain how FF heals people. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Stone Ocean Part 6, Foo Fighters, often referred to as FF, is a unique stand composed of sentient plankton, hashtag spoilers, Bikini Bottom, that inhabits a human body. FF's ability to heal people stems from its control over its plankton-based physiology and its ability to manipulate water and organic matter. Here's how FF heals others. Plankton-based regeneration. This makes no fucking sense, by the way. Moisture manipulation. Direct contact. Limitations. Water dependency, energy cost, not instantaneous, compatibility. This is your plankton girlfriend, by the way. Man, compared to some of the Riz that characters had in Part 5, they really gave this plankton girl not much clothing. Maybe Araki was like, I'm spending way too much time drawing all these fucking spider webs on Jolene. I can't have another insanely time-consuming costume for every single character. That's a guy. Literally every single JoJo character is like, that's a guy. And every single guy is like, that's a girl. Araki is in full ambiguousness mode, so there's no point in complaining about that shit. She can make her tits bigger at will, 10 out of 10 character. I know this is hard to understand, but I don't want to have sex with any of the female JoJo characters. I don't find them sexually attractive. Lisa though, false. Lisa is hot. Okay, early JoJo. Okay, up to JoJo Part 3, I'm okay with having sex. Lisa and what's her name? The Egyptian woman are okay. No Part 4 though. Part 4 onward, it's only homosexual energy. Narancia Bussy only. The Italian Bussy experience. Anasui is a girl, but it's a guy. Yeah. Sometimes it do be like that when the editor is like, no, you can't have lesbianism in your female prison drama. Luckily now that Araki is in Ultra Jump, he has free reign. And he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. So there's no editors to tell him that he can't have lesbian relationships because that shit's boring. Narancia is pretty hot. Guys, if you had to have hot gay sex with one of the Part 5 male characters, which would it be? They're all pretty fuckable, not gonna lie. Not that I would have gay sex, because that's gay, and I'm not gay. Haha. It's okay if you say no homo after. True. Joke's on you, I'm a woman, but my answer is Mista. That's a certified JoJo joke right there that only fellow JoJo fans will understand the JoJo reference that I just made in chat. It's important that we remember to bully Mista as much as possible. He's known for a while, LMAO. Now that Hystrixia has left, she's the only person I can ask about which male is hottest, for example. If I need an update on Twilight plot points or something, she's the only one I can ask. Just kidding. I know everything I need to know about Twilight already. I saw up to movie number 3, so I'm practically an expert on this topic. You can't answer that yourself. Hashtag Team Jacob. Bruh, I'm illiterate. I'm pretty sure that even the most illiterate person can read Twilight. That's how they're written. Women's sex fiction doesn't count as books. Mista responsible for killing the crew in the flashback with the Rolling Stone stand, so yeah, the hate is warranted. I can't even remember that shit. I can't remember, like, the weird attached on, like, final episode of part 5 where he's like, wait, this is something that happened and it's something about destiny or something, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, Araki? Isn't the whole point of the Rolling Stone stand is that it's like some sort of metaphorical concept about fate, and Bucciarati was making the decision to fight against fate or something? I can't remember if it was something that was like preventable if Mista had did something different. I don't think that's how it works, but whatever, I don't give a fuck. Overthinking JoJo is more worthless than trying to get better at League. It's a complete waste of time. JoJo is something that needs to be felt, not understood. It's an emotional concept. BaalBud dibuja algo de Dungeon Meshi Police. Are you Brazilian today? I literally cannot tell the difference between Spanish and Portuguese. Nor do I want to. España, 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 España. Messi, 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 Messi. Messi, 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 Messi. Portuguese is Russian Spanish. Portuguese is Spanish with the curly bits. Yeah, I can't tell the difference. I'll only be able to tell if it's Portuguese if, like, I listen to it for like 30 minutes and there's no commonly heard Spanish words, and then I'm like, maybe this isn't Spanish. Or they're wearing Brazilian soccer uniforms, and then I understand. Can you draw Marcille getting railed cutely? Let's see if I can draw Marcille without looking at any images of her. She has like super round ears like this, right? And then she has like only a small part of hair. Bangs, sort of like this. Kind of like this, right? And she has a pretty round face. I can't remember what her eyebrows look like. Here, this is my best Dungeon Meshi interpretation without looking at any reference images. That's pretty good from memory, to be honest. I can remember the energy she has. I can't remember the actual specifics, but I can remember that she's always, like, you know, freaked out by whatever shit is coming out of the pot. Senshi looks like a gnome, though. I feel like his nose length is shorter. I can't remember what his nose looks like. He definitely had this kind of googly eyes, right? As long as you give the dwarf enough beard, it looks appropriate. Imagine her eating monkey. The general Marcial energy is she thinks it tastes good until you tell her what's inside, and then she's like, ew! Or it's the opposite. She's like, ew, I don't want to eat it, and then everyone else eats it, so she has to eat it, and she's like, okay, maybe it's okay. That's the two patterns for stupid fucking elf. No wonder everyone wants to have sex with her. Literally made to carry human children. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Dungeon Meshi, even though I'm pretty sure most would consider me like, I think you would assume that I'd be a fan, but I don't like the mix of seriousness and comedy. Like, you have to walk on such like a tightrope between serious content and like comedy content when you're actually doing like actual dungeon crawling where people can die and stuff like that. And I don't know, the balance is just a little bit off for me to the point where I can't really enjoy it. I recognize the artist's game and how good they are at it, but it's just not exactly my thing. For those of you who like Dungeon Meshi, the Dungeon Meshi like that I am using for references when drawing stuff right now is hold on. I have to make sure I drew this off because my reference image folder has a shit ton of porn. Are you guys seeing any of this manga in Western translations? It seems to be getting a little bit of traction in the Japanese market space. It's about weapon making in Dungeon Town, and the environments and backgrounds are pretty detailed and stuff, so I like it. The author is also really good at drawing stuff like these camels, for example, camel people, mysterious camel fortune tellers. You know, rat people, goat people, booba. Author is Madoguchi Tomo. I wonder if there's translation of it. There's Furigana. It's in a non-shonen magazine, so sometimes there'll be Furigana and sometimes there won't, I think. I don't actually need Furigana, so I can't remember if there's Furigana or not, because I just read it normally. Shonen manga in general has to have Furigana. and then it becomes seinen and there's no furigana, but even seinen will have furigana for some terms. I think I've seen it. There's also one with a cat girl tailor and a hero whose clothes burn off when he fights. So the online Shonen Jump Plus currently has 2 fantasy series about naked heroes running at the same time. Just guys fighting evil in the nude. I guess the editors were like, whatever, we don't care. Let's just have a lot of naked content. Tell me more. One is a indies series, which means it's written by an amateur who's like semi-pro, and the other is a non-indies, but they're both like not exactly great illustrations. I haven't been reading either of them. They're both like parodies of the genre, which puts them in the same category as what the shit that I do, so I can't really criticize them, but I haven't been that involved. I can't use them for reference images. They're not good enough, so I'm only interested in manga that I can copy from. I'm only interested in like stealing from better artists than myself, so Dog, you gooning to recluse from Night Rain? What color is her vagina, guys? That is the question that we have to ask. Is she like dark skinned like a black person, or is it more magical? Rosengarten Saga. I see what you're talking about, but I need reference images of backgrounds, not people. I can draw people. It's always the fucking backgrounds that I need more images of. I need to draw not Germany content, like the fucking standard fantasy city stuff. Maybe they have good images, I can't tell. Has there ever been a mangaka who got into the game for the backgrounds, LMAO? So, I have been referencing Suzuki Nakaba for my backgrounds when I've been drawing this chapter. See, I have 4 Nights of the Apocalypse like saved on my desktop, ready to bring that shit up. I keep on looking at this one image, like right here. His mastery of pen drawing and then creating spacing and distance with just pen drawing. This is all analog, by the way. Has always been unmatched, but I need to see what kind of how he does the texturing of like cobblestones and shit like that. He has always been like a fucking master at like this sort of scratchiness and stuff. But recently Shonen Jump had his earliest manga series, Rising Impact, the golf manga. I was reading that, and he was pretty bad at drawing people, but he was always capable of drawing this kind of background, so I think he legitimately got into it for drawing this kind of background shit. He was always like insanely good at drawing like this kind of organic stonework and organic like plants and stuff like that. Will BB master backgrounds? No, but I have to draw some backgrounds. Also, fantasy backgrounds often use colors and stuff like that. So I can't use those because it's a completely different way of drawing shit when you have to get into like drawing with pen and ink. The type of tools you have to figure out how to use are different, so Smitchell maps. I remember reading Ranking of Kings and the backgrounds were so minimal. Ranking of Kings is one of those manga that people list as an example of why you don't actually need to be that good at drawing to be a mangaka. It's sort of like bare minimum of drawing skill. It's often listed as that, which is true. The king of this is the author of Lucky Man, Gamo Hiroshi. For those of you who read Bakuman, the uncle of the main character in Bakuman is this guy who was sort of like a gag slash hero manga who committed suicide because he got cucked to death or something like that. I can't remember the specifics. But that's obviously a self-insert of Gamo Hiroshi. And Gamo Hiroshi is probably the writer of both Death Note and Bakuman. There's no proof of it, but it's heavily hinted at it in his own manga. And then he changed his name because if you want to do a serious manga about a Death Note, you can't be the same guy who was doing silly little joke comics and shit. Oh, he didn't kill himself, he just overworked himself. Okay, he just died as a standard mangaka. Here's an image of Lucky Man manga right here. Literal children's drawings. This is what we in the industry called soul. Hashtag soul versus soulless. And this got 16 volumes in an anime, by the way, so... And then, so you go from drawing this, and then you end up writing, you know, one of the most popular serious manga of the 2000s in Death Note and stuff. This is the kind of manga industry deep dives that I assume most of you Western pigs don't know about because you didn't grow up in the 90s reading manga like I did. Oh shit, it's raining, thank God. It's been so hot these last few days. How you've been handling the Northern Hemisphere heat wave? Thank God the air conditioning got fixed right before it hit. Our air conditioning compressor capacitor or something died. And if it hadn't died like a few days before the heat wave, then we would have had no air conditioning. But thankfully the technician got here in time and I didn't have to fucking die from heat stroke. My mother is like, oh, it's good that you got your air conditioning fixed. I'm like, Mom, you also live in this house, but my mother is old and Japanese and she's literally immune to any kind of heat, so it really is just me who's in desperate need of the air conditioning. Hold on, I have to take a piss. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. Ugh. Stare at Aubrey's crying face. need someone to draw the backgrounds for me. Fuck. We don't have any air conditioning in Northern Europe. Houses designed to keep heat in and global warming is fun. Yes. Time for total heat death of everybody in Europe. False piss alarm? No, I took a piss and came back. Nothing false about that one. I don't have false piss alarms. I hold it in for too long when I'm drawing. That was fast. I mean, it wasn't a super long piss. I've been drinking a lot of ice water, so I have a lot of liquid sloshing around in my bladder. He pissed on the floor, didn't he? Bro, how long does it take for you people to piss? I just go downstairs, pee, and then come back up. Maybe y'all piss too long? See, the only female in chat is calling you people long pissers. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is the gender that disappears into the bathroom for 20 minutes to fix their makeup and do cocaine or whatever they do in there. Do you jump up and down the stairs? I don't know. How large are your stairs? It doesn't take more than 5 seconds to go up and down my house's stairs. Everybody cares way too much about the pissing habits of their Twitch streamers, if you think about it. Everyone always asking Asmongold whether he washed his hands and stuff. Did you wash your hands and put the toilet seat down? What toilet seat? Hashtag sink pissers. I take 10 minutes to do my makeup and an hour 50 to do the cocaine. Yes, and when you start bleeding out of the nose after you've snorted 5 snowballs, then you have to redo the makeup again because you're covered in nose blood. The 80s were truly an enlightened time. It is kind of crazy that within our lifetimes, basically, we just had a period in which people would just use cocaine casually all day long. If you were white, at least. If you were black, then you would have to use crack cocaine, and then you would get arrested for that because that's illegal. But if you're a Wall Street, dealer, that you just use coke. On the other hand, I guess we're living in a time period in which half the American population is on fentanyl, so... Actually, you know what it is? It's fucking weed that everyone's on. I know weed isn't supposed to be a big deal, but on Juneteenth, I went to go shopping at Kroger, and I thought that the car next to me had, like, engine trouble because there was so much fucking smoke coming out of it. I thought it was like its radiator had busted or something like that, but then I realized that the window was cracked and all the smoke was coming out from inside the car, and I was like, oh shit, it's someone just lighting up. The smell hit me and I was like, oh fuck, that's just all weed smoke. And it didn't really hit home at the time. I was just like, I guess that guy's just super, high. But then as I pulled out of the Kroger, the other car in front of me was also, polluting the entire atmosphere with 10,000 tons of weed. And I saw the guy driving it and he was black, and I was like, wait, is every black person using Juneteenth holiday as an excuse for them to, like, get super mega fucking high on weed right now? I think this is what's going on. All our dark-skinned marijuana appreciators were like, it's fucking time. Let's go. There's only one way to celebrate the end of slavery, and that's to get mega super fucking high. Weed has been normalized and I fucking hate it. The smell is as rancid as ever. I mean, the practice of smoking weed has been normalized. The actual weed is like 10 times stronger than it used to be when I was growing up. Like you would still run across people like lighting up their joints in a fucking park in the 90s and stuff like that. But like you wouldn't get hit by the effects of the weed just by walking around it. Nowadays, if I go jogging on like a Saturday night, the amount of weed smoke just coming out of people's apartments, I can like just like feel it. I can feel the power of the THC or whatever hitting my nostrils. It's just like, holy shit, this stuff is strong. People keep trying to tell me weed smells good and I do not understand. I'd prefer the smell of weed than some of the female lotions and stuff I have to smell. There's way more like, I don't know, soaps and lotions and balms and not even perfume, just like various types of soaps that I have to inhale if you're around like people who are wearing their fucking tropical vanilla flavored shit, and it's just like, oh god, this woman smells awful. At least weed, it's you know, they're supposed to crack or have their window closed or some shit. What kind of gross lotion are you whiffing? I don't know. My mother is hypersensitive to this shit. And I always thought she was crazy, but now that I'm getting older, I think I'm getting more sensitive to it as well. I can't beat her genetics. They're too powerful. If I wanted to get kicked out of the house, the easiest way for that to happen would be if I just started, you know, wearing some kind of weird soap. Like if I started wearing Irish Spring or some shit like that, or Old Spice, she just like immediately kicked me out of the house. She is not cool with that shit. The Bath and Body Works lotion smell vulgar as hell. Rest in peace, Bath and Body Works. You were the best of us. Wait, it did go bankrupt, didn't it? Or is it still around? I can't even remember. Was it bought by someone so the store is still around? I don't think I've ever been to Bath and Body Works in my entire life. My mother is from the organic soap type humans, so she's not going to go in one of those places. They're still around? Damn. Wait, I have to check if they're actually bankrupt or not. Bath and Body Works. Bankruptcy. Bath and Body Works is not bankrupt and has not filed for bankruptcy. What? Thank you, AI Overview. They are closing some stores. It feels like it's in the same category as like Radio Shack, where it's going to take like 50 years for it to actually go out of business. Look at the Wikipedia page. Revenue minus $7 billion 2024. Operating income negative $1,798,000. I guess this is just going down. Total equity negative 1.4 billion. I'm not a business major, but something about that number tells me that that might not be a good stat. Japanese women don't use deodorant. They do. They use they don't use deodorant, but they have like these sprays and stuff. Yeah, this is the thing. 8x4, 8-4, this shit. If you go to Japan, every girl uses this shit to the point that filthy otaku men use this spray to, like, when they have, like, a fuck doll, they use this spray to give the smell of girls to the fuck doll because it's so associated with women's body odors. I've also heard that because it has a relatively small bottle, girls use this as a dildo replacement as well. It's not like the full thickness of a bottle. I've been told that it's been used for other purposes in the female anatomy. Ask BB to sniff and confirm. Because I sweat so much, I actually don't have much body odor. If I don't shower for long enough and I don't sweat for long enough, I have like the standard burrito smell. I can smell that coming from my body, but it's pretty light compared to other guys. And when I'm sweating a lot, I have like a almost citrusy, light acidic smell. So I don't really smell bad at all, actually. My problem is that I have a giga amount of sweat, just insane amounts of sweat coming out of my body. So that's always a problem in my case. But besides the amount of liquid coming out of me, I never fuck the bottle though. I'm sure you have more appropriate instruments specifically for that purpose. But Japanese women, they don't have access to the Bad Dragon catalog like American women do. They have to wait for the ugly bastard to show up and trick them into becoming a sex slave with his blackmail photos of them changing into a bra or something. As long as they can find their ugly bastard, he'll provide them with all the sex toys they need. But until that happens, they have to make do with stuff like deodorant spray bottles. Japanese and Korean women don't have stank-ass sweat. It really do be like that. If you're in a Japanese train in the summer, like, it really doesn't smell at all. Meanwhile, if you go to... I was in Eastern Germany. I've already said this, but when I went to Eastern Germany once, it was a hot summer and there was no air conditioning in the train cars. And man, you could smell the old white German Lederhosen body odor really whiffing up the place. The Asians have it different. They don't. You'd think they would, given the massive sex toy industry there. Everyone has like a massage tool, I think. They have the quote-unquote massager to massage their body parts. It's probably an evolution to maximize train crowding efficiency. Japanese are just like elves, basically. They're one with nature. Innovation courtesy of Hitachi, yes. The magic wand. I should try doing that on my prostate, see if that makes me come instantly or something. Oblivion elves. There are no Actually, who are the Oblivion elves of the real world? It would have to be people with like truly fucked up anatomy. I guess it's like people who have had too much plastic surgery. I don't know. Los Angeles people who have had too many cheek lifts. You can start to look like Oblivion elf. Detroit residents are too fat to be Oblivion elves. The average American Midwesterner is like 50 pounds overweight, whereas the Oblivion elf body type, you have to look like this, right? Here we have the standard Oblivion elf facial structure. So to have this level of gauntness, you can't be overweight, which is something that makes it impossible to get the Oblivion Elf body type if you're an American Midwesterner. Looking forward to the chapter, dude. Love from Sweden. Thank you. I'd say that I'm almost done, but it's like page 26 out of 46, 27 out of 46, so... And, you know, some of these backgrounds still need to be drawn. Oh, it's taking so much time. I am getting better and faster, though. Recently, I've really kind of figured out which pen I want to use in which sort of situations. So that's made my inking much quicker. And, like, when you figure out the general thickness of lines you have to use, then that, it shortens the work time quite a bit because the thicker lines sort of provide a dark area on the page so you don't have to draw as many details and stuff. I live in LA. They look nothing like Oblivion Elves. They look like freaking plastic, humanoid plastic. Like Stellar Blade. I can't jack off to Stellar Blade. She looks too much like a sex doll. I'll play Stellar Blade sooner or later because I enjoyed the demo, but not at the current price. I'll wait till it's like around $25, you know. Eve isn't as hot as some people say. She looks a little too plasticky. You fuck with implants? No, I fucking hate implants. If you're gonna get implants to make your boobs bigger, just be flat. A woman who has a flat chest is 10 times more attractive than a woman with fake tits trying to augment her flat chest. Just don't do it. It's not worth it, guys. How is long-term storytelling working for you? I don't know. You're the one who's reading my content. You can decide yourself whether it's working for me or not. If you're talking about quality, if you mean like how hard it is, it's not that hard because we're not even getting to the long-term part, really. You can only cover so much plot progression when you're drawing so fucking slow as I am. This isn't like volume 100 of One Piece where it's like, Oda, you really need to wrap this shit up, you know? We're barely getting into like the introduction of the story and I'm trying to go as fast as I can. You might not be into small breasts, but fake ones can straight up be a turnoff. When I was coming out of Planet Fitness this morning, a woman was coming out of her car right in front of me and she had like the most unnatural looking fake tits and I was like, holy shit, oh my god, this looks just so bad, I can't do this. It really freaked me out. I don't think I can live in LA or Miami, guys, if that's how I react to fake tits, you know. The problem is that when women have implants, either they are trophy wives or are trying to compensate for another unappealing feature, physical or mental. Is it time that we talk about that subject? That subject. I think some of you know already what image I'm gonna bring up. Our Lord and Savior Jeff Bezos, who owns the platform I'm streaming on, and his wife, who is 100% completely natural and has had no amount of work done on her body. Bro got divorced to his extremely competent businesswoman wife and had to pay her like billions of dollars in the divorce settlement so he could get hitched to this thing. At least her lips look better. Did she change her lips? I still think they look fucking horrendous. Like, we're talking about Bogdanov levels right here. I like how they tried to have their wedding in Venice and make it like their perfect wedding by basically using the entire city as their wedding party shit. And then the locals were like, fuck off. And they had to, they weren't able to do it. They're probably still going to do it ultimately, but good for people living in Venice. All the Venetians being like, no, fuck you, bitch. Because that's exactly how they should treat our billionaires who want to use your pretty city. I am feeling more self-conscious now that Alex Jones is getting in shape. Alex Jones looking amazing on Ozempic. I mean, define getting in shape, guys. Like, come on. There's levels to these things. The mer people of Venice were not having it. I went to Venice in I think March and stuff, and the canals already smelled like shit. I can't imagine what it's like to live in that place during the summer when the canals are in their full shit mode. It would be amazing. Just like the wafting smell of raw sewage coming out of the water in front of you every day. But it really is an impressive city. It's like very airy. It's like the closest you're going to get to like an RPG city, probably. My high school senior trip was in Italy of all places because I was going to a private school. I complain about my mother a lot, but she sure spent a lot of money on me to let me go on these nice ass trips. We went to Florence, Rome, and Venice. It was very nice at a time in which my sensitivities as an artist were very high. You could say it's the Araki experience, looking at Mona Lisa getting a boner kind of experience. Alex Jones has nothing better to do since the Sandy Hook parents righteously bankrupted him. I guess it's time for him to get into health and lose some of that anxiety. My mother loves me, uwu. I don't know if she loves me, but she definitely invested in me, which is, all you can really ask from your parents, right? Now that I'm getting old and my testosterone is going down, I'm less angry at my parents all the time, which is a good thing because I have to live with them. All boobs are equally beautiful, men or women? Wrong. That is not true. Man boobs are not beautiful. Also, women's boobs are not beautiful depending on the type of shape. There are definitely women's boobs that are not beautiful. Let's not pretend like all boobs are beautiful. They're big sacks of fat. And depending how lopsided and stretchy and stringy they become in old age, they can become very unbeautiful. Especially when one boob is a different size as the other boob. That's peak not beautiful boob right there. Normalize men with moobs wearing push-up bras? I don't think so. I don't understand what's wrong with my man boobs. I just used 10,000 doses of Tren. Why is my testosterone replacement therapy causing me to grow breasts? It doesn't make sense. It's supposed to make me more manly. Pee is stored in the balls in men, but since women don't have balls except futa, so pee is stored in boobs. I'd just like to point out that I prefer futas without balls. But besides that, your information is completely correct. Definitely no incorrect information there, guys. They also store eggs in the boobs. This is also true. Futa. I've said this before and I've said this again. AI doesn't seem to be able to do Futa without balls. I have yet to see Futa without balls with AI. I've seen it like once or twice out of thousands of images. Apparently it's too complicated a concept. The horrible truth is size doesn't matter much, but shape does. They both matter. In this idealized world where we're all competing to be like perfect Barbie doll versions, the boobs must also be, they must be large, perfectly round, perfectly symmetrical, yet still perky, but also still soft. It's an impossible dream goal that only the most exceptional of women can ever achieve. And some men, if we use enough testosterone and we get man boobs. AI can do Futa without balls. It's just sentient and prefers Futa with balls. We must kill it before it's too late. Skynet is one thing, but the one thing that we can't forgive about robots is if they prefer Futa with balls. We must destroy it before it ends everything. Some transgressions cannot be forgiven. The real question is doughy ass or meaty ass? Meaty ass. Rock hard, muscular ass. The ass must be so tight that when you draw it, you have the guy's backside. Just like this. Hurt! It's just a fucking square. Hurt! Ah! That's right, boys. Ah! Scream! Because laying ass, yes. Literally built for Oneshota. Good night, BB. Gonna go thank my parents for life. I don't think you have to thank your parents for giving you life, though. You don't actually get a say in whether your parents give birth to you. You just have to thank them for whatever extra investment they gave to you besides like what's mandated by the government. And my mother definitely invested a lot of meaningless education expenses in me. I feel slightly guilty because I currently have a job that uses none of my degrees that, you know, my mother financed, you know. My bachelor's is doing nothing right now, so... It's like, thanks for paying for college, Mom. My birth was accidental and out of cheating, yay. If only we could all have non-accidental births as test tube babies. Bred by the government to be the ultimate killing machine. I mean, it's probably pretty common. In Japan, they don't have this name anymore, but in the olden days, there's a girl's name called Tome. Tome-san. Tome. If you still find super old people in Japan, you might find some of them called Tome. Well, if you know, like, Japanese 101, college level 101, you know the word tomaru. Tomeru. Tomaru. Which means to stop. So it literally means like we're a fucking farmer household and we've had 7 kids and we can't afford to support anymore. So we're naming our like 8th daughter to stop, to remind us that we have to stop coming inside. That's where the name comes from, Tome, as in like the last kid we're gonna have. It's a pretty fucking hilarious concept. It's like we really didn't want any more kids, but we had you, so we named you a reminder to ourselves that we can't have any more kids. I did have a conversation last time I visited with my mom where I asked why she had kids and she just kind of shrugged LMAO. I mean, it's probably better than the other options. You don't really want your mother to be like, I wasn't having kids, but his dick felt so good I couldn't ask him to pull out. I leg locked him so he had to come inside. You know, that would be an awkward conversation right there. ダメ抜いちゃダメ中で出してドプドプドプドピュビュルビュルビュルビュルドピュドピュドピュブチューあー行く行っちゃう People have kids because indoctrination and lack of aspiration. No, people have kids because they're just not thinking and they don't pull out. And it feels better to come inside, that's all. The reason why people have stopped having kids is because everyone's like thinking, oh, I have to make sure I have a college fund set up. I have to give my child the maximum advantage in life. I can't have children yet, and that's why populations are fucking crashing. That answer would have extended the conversation way too long, and I think she just wanted to walk the dog. In general, people don't... The more that people don't worry about whether their kids will be set up in life, the more children they're gonna have. This is why locations like in Japan, Okinawa is the only place that has, like, people have more than 2 kids. Because it's basically like a third world country. And, it's just full of Japanese women who are like, oh, cool. A local base marine. I'll just let him come inside. Not a big deal. And all their kids are still behaving like the 90s. This is the interesting part. Okinawa, it still behaves like when the birth rates were high in other parts of the country. Like, there's still all these delinquents and shit running around and getting in fights with cops and stuff. It's like, what is this? Is this 1980? The birth rate is high. The kids are delinquents. The unemployment is high as well. There's all these snacks and bars for local GIs and stuff. It's a weird-ass place. The idea of having kids is so crazy because that's like 20 years of you living as an individual just gone. Again, it's only gone if you actually are thinking about caring for your kids properly. Back in the day when people were having huge numbers of kids, they didn't feel that way. They're just like, nah, I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna change the TV channel. I'm the man of the house, bitch. We're not gonna buy you an iPad. You get to watch cartoons when I'm not at home parking my ass on the sofa. I'm not gonna get a tutor for you. I'm gonna come home after working 8 hours and I'm gonna watch fucking Monday Night Football and you go to your fucking room and read a book or something, bitch, and that was it. People didn't give a fuck. They're like, what? You don't have money for college? That's your problem, bitch. People weren't like, I have to use up my entire life to, you know, take responsibility for my kid. They're like, nah, I don't give a fuck. They're like, I have... The literal thing that people would say in the 90s when I was growing up, it's not even that long ago, you would have like sayings like, I pay for the food on the table and the roof on your head and the clothes on your back. Everything else you have to figure out yourself. Like, people would literally say that shit. And nowadays, modern parents are just like, I have to make sure my child can have every fucking advantage in life. I have to make sure he has a college fund. I have to make sure that he can take lessons and, discover his talent as a professional cello player or shit like that. Like, people didn't give a fuck about that back in the day when people were having kids. That's why the birth rate is so low, is people overthink it. The reason why third world countries have high birth rates is they're like, we need to have more kids to work for the farm. They see children as a fucking resource that they can exploit. Okinawa has very cool shirts. I don't think you can overthink having kids. If you want them to have a nice life, you can't overthink having kids. I'm just saying that back in the day, the reason why people had so many kids is because they weren't overthinking it, because they didn't give a fuck. They didn't think that they were going to sacrifice their entire life for this kid. They were just like, just have a kid, you know? Obviously, that puts the kid in a worse situation, but... Because the reason why everyone's talking about birth rates, they're like, how is this happening? It's because, it's a big deal now. Boomers still think millennials are kids. Millennials remember how tough it was to claw our way up. We don't want that for our kids if we deem to have them. I think people aren't having them. That's the problem. I mean, the boomer energy of like, you're 18 now, it's time to leave the house and pay for your own rent in the modern rental situation is absolutely inappropriate. Like, there's no way that you can, like, fucking make it in life if your parents actually literally kick you out of the house when you're 18 and you don't have a car yet. That basically means you have to go into a shit ton of credit card debt just to get a job because you won't have a car. Think about that. In America, see, you can't even work unless you have a fucking vehicle, which means you have to be in debt to pay for the vehicle before you can even start, becoming a full-fledged human being. And now you have to pay $2,000 for rent every month. So if your boomers go full boomer and kick you out, you're absolutely fucked, which is why I'm in such a great position with my mother not kicking me out when I'm close to 40. Thank God. It's been 17 years since we joined the workforce. Holy shit, it do be like that. Rental history is now going to be considered on credit scores. See, none of this affects me because I can just escape to Japan where the monthly rent in many locations is still like $400 for a nice apartment. You can find rental locations in Tokyo for less than $1,000 a month. Fucking Tokyo. I don't know what sort of magic Japan is using to keep the rent low, but it really is legitimately low, so... hopefully that's not going to change anytime soon. Why economy not go up? Why numbers still red? Import more brown people? No. That's part of it. But, like... I think it's the American rental situation. That's like the Canadian issue, right? Is they literally imported too many brown people. But American rental situation is like the housing market is fucked, so that makes the renting market fucked. Because I think the number one reason is probably because there's too many like private corporations buying up houses and shit. In America, the housing market is fucked because people started seeing the housing market as an investment opportunity instead of a place to live in. Is what I've been told. So it's like, oh, you should own a house. And then, like, corporations started thinking, oh, we should own a house too. Because the value of my house is going to go up forever. And now if you're a person who actually needs to live in a house, well, that house is owned by a corpo. How the hell have you not gone to Japan already? You'd be living the real American dream of escaping authoritarian hellscape. The reason is because I don't actually interact with society, so it doesn't really matter which country I'm in, as long as I get to live in my mother's house. If I had to choose between paying $2,000 a month in like a shitty one-bedroom apartment in literally any location in America, or I get to go to Japan and pay $400 a month, I'd definitely be in Japan. But right now I'm paying $0 a month because I'm living in my mom's house, so that's the number one reason. If she kicked me out, I would definitely be moving to Japan. You'd have access to Lawson's. Whenever I go to Japan, I'm like, wow, this is really nice. Lawson Nikuman anytime that I want it. I can't remember which convenience store chain it was, but the last time I was in Japan, they had some like high quality, expensive ass Nikuman. And I was like, is this actually going to be better? And it was. So, as usual, Japanese convenience store quality is undefeated. Lawson is what I lived off of when I was in Japan with no money. That's the incorrect move. Actually, convenience stores are more expensive. You have to find a grocery market. That's where the real cheap shit is. You might think that the grocery store is cheap because you've become used to Western pricing and stuff, but it's not. You're actually getting ripped off if you use the convenience store. Japanese konbini is better than New York City bodega by virtue of the fact I never got food poisoning. Yes, but the food poisoning is what gives the New York City bodega its character. How will you get the deep, robust taste of the pastrami sandwich if you don't have the guy cutting the pastrami meats wipe his ass crack before he handles the roast beef? That's what makes it so flavorful. Flavor Town was always in the ass crack. That's what Guy Fieri taught me. To be fair, Japanese convenience stores are used by or are run by like Vietnamese people now, so I don't think I'm going to get food poisoning, but if you wait long enough and there's enough foreigners in Japan, there might be enough quality decline that you get food poisoning at some point, but I doubt it. I feel like anybody who wants to work in a Japanese konbini is just like a golem at heart, so they're going to properly follow corporation procedures. No one's going to be like the New York City bodega experience where they're like, I'm just going to wing it. But there was a recent murder in Japan where there was like a Brazilian woman who moved to Japan, and she was like, they had her on record being interviewed and being like, what I like about Japan so much is that it's so safe. I don't have to worry about getting murdered like I do get murdered in Brazil. And then like a few weeks later she got murdered by a Sri Lankan immigrant. And everyone on the internet was like, well, didn't get murdered by a Japanese person, but we're importing a lot of people from other parts of the world right now, so it's not the same as it was before. That being said, nobody wants to work at a convenience store in the middle of the night, so Of course, the Japanese politicians are trying to do the same thing as the Canadian politicians and get a lot of foreigners in. She didn't get shot, right? I don't know. I assume she got knifed or something. I didn't really check. Anti-gun policies win again. I mean, they do sort of win. I won't dox myself, but let's just say that when I watch the local news, there's a shooting literally every single night, so... A new shooting, not the same shooting being reported. Whereas, you know, if you're watching Japanese news, which my mother still does even though we're not in Japan, we definitely don't see regular shootings there, so... Or even regular murders. Half of Japanese news is like the most benign shit. It feels like you're watching like a parody of American society, like in Pleasantville or some shit like that, where it's like, today Mr. Miller found a wet newspaper on his doorstep and he called the newspaper company and said, Buster, this won't stand. My quality of newspaper must be crisp. More at the news at 11. That kind of shit. Except in Japan, it's like, today a group of local elementary school kids celebrated the traditional awa odori dancing culture. Stuff like that. Today there was a festival of flowers or some shit like that. And if there actually is a murder, they'll cover the same murder for like, I don't know, weeks and weeks at a time because they don't have multiple murders. Whereas if murder happens in America, it's like, it's not even national news. It's local fucking news, you know? Getting a gun in Japan is insanely difficult, yes. If you want to murder someone in Japan, you have to do it the old-fashioned way. With your extremely expertly crafted tuna knife or something. I've been told that Japanese knives are excellent. I wouldn't know because I don't actually cook properly. My mother found like a proper Japanese like cooking knife that we had in our basement that was presented to her from like an acquaintance back in the day. So she brought it back up and we used it for like a few days. And she was like, this is too sharp. It's actually too good a knife. I don't want to use this. So she went back to using the cheap ass like 100 yen store one she's been using for the last 30 years. I was just like, what happened to the good knife? She's like, yeah, I'm not going to use it. Nippon Steel. I mean, there's a reason why Nippon Steel has to buy American steel because the American steel company can't fucking produce proper steel anymore. It doesn't have the technical ability. Japanese knives are the best for cooking. I've been using the same one for 15 years and just get it sharpened. I use a Chinese one for butchering. That follows the pattern I see in my manga where you go into a Chinese restaurant and there's like a bald fat guy with squiggly eyes with a giant fucking cleaver like taking apart a huge full-size pig. She wants this knife to become a family heirloom or something. My mother is one of those people where she will complain about how our house doesn't have any nice things. But then when we like, I point out that the house does have nice things, like silver cutlery and like, you know, placemats and shit like that. She'll be like, yes, but we only use those nice things for special occasions, so we never actually see them. And she's too lazy to have like dinner parties and stuff, so the end result is that the nice things never ever get used. It's pretty funny. I don't give a fuck because I don't mind drinking out of like plastic cups and, you know, using plastic placemats. The placemats we have on our table we're using the these like children's placemats with a map of the world. So it's like a map of Africa and a map of Europe and shit like that. But we have good placemats, but these are the cheap ass ones for sure. That's the most immigrant mom shit I ever heard. Yeah, it's like we can't use the good things because then you might like break them or ruin them. That kind of mentality. It's not for you, it's only for when guests show up, but we never actually want to have guests, so it never gets used. The annoying part is that she keeps on like blaming me for her not being Martha Stewart. She's like, I used to have house parties in my room. Our house was so clean. I was like, it was clean like once, Mom. There's nothing stopping you from like cleaning up the house and having house parties if you want to. So why aren't you doing it? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel like it. She doesn't actually want to have a house party. She's too fucking busy. She's still working when she's like 77, so... Chinese butcher with cleaver boss fight, look out Kiryu-san. It goes way back, I feel. The average Chinese character in manga is like... They have to have like a not yamka. Like they have these round ass, like these kinds of hats. Something like this. And then they're like... They have the fucking slanty eyes because Japanese don't have slanty eyes. Japanese have beautiful round eyes like this, but the Chinese guy has to have the slanty eyes. Like this. Right, and then you have the Kui Pao. And then you give him, like, the fucking Giga Chad meat cleaver. With the hole in it, like this. And there's, like, the pig in the background. There's, like, here. Have this this bowl of steaming hot ramen. And he's fat as fuck, right? Like this. Maybe not that fat. Even the fat as fuck characters in Japan aren't even as fat as like an average. This is like the maximum level of fatness that Japanese people can imagine people being. And when you tell them that, like, that isn't even, like, an average-size American, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody's, like, this, like, giga-fat, like, in Japanese, even in Japanese, like, fiction. Like, I don't think they can comprehend how fat people can become. Where's the mustache? Ah, yes, excuse me. No, wait, that's wrong. You have to give them the Fu Manchu. I think, maybe like this. I guess it droops down like this. I think this is the best version. Looks like Majin Buu with a cleaver. It do be like that. Now, if we're talking about female Chinese character, there can only be one version of that as well. This one, right? You gotta have the buns. And suddenly she's cute. What happened to the difference in the difference between the male Chinese man and suddenly have Kung Fu girlfriend? The fucking buns. The buns! Nobody actually has buns in real life, guys. Literally nobody. Ni hao. Ni hao, xie xie. Chun-Li phenotype? Yeah, we had Chun-Li phenotype way before Chun-Li. Chun-Li only came by the 90s, so... We had all sorts of Rama and stuff before that. People have buns when they cosplay Leia, and that's it. You have to have a shit ton of hair to be able to sort of wrap up the hair into a bun. I mean, 2 hair buns? That's asking for a lot of hair. I guess you could just fake it by just putting on the white bun container and not actually having the hair underneath it. Draw manhwa style dude lady in hanbok next. Manhwa style is just like, I don't know, tight sweater dress. I can't believe my aunt, stepmother, who is also inheritor of this massive conglomerate corporation, is trying to have sexo with me. Oh no. Wish fulfillment fantasy. That manhwa. Manhwa checklist. Going from top down. Power fantasy. Whether it's isekai or special power. And then checklist number 2 is incest. Gotta have some incest. Incest or NTR. You have any opinion on Akira Yasuda, Breath of Fire and Turn A Gundam artist? I fucking love him. He comes from that era of Capcom where, like, Capcom was truly at its peak. I would, he's one of the artists that I tried to copy when I was trying to get better, and I stopped because it wasn't really helping because he's, like, too much better than me, you know? I think, like, some of the Turn A artwork is probably the best we've ever had in Gundam in terms of just, like, character design and stuff. Like, this image right here, I'm still in fucking awe of the composition. Like, you have this super low perspective, and by having this super low perspective, like, everybody is at the same height, but it's not inaccurate. You have Ojo-sama, associate Ojo-sama walking, and then you have your tomboy girlfriend in this fucking train in the background, and all these fucking flowers, and Diana-sama in the back, and then fucking planes, triple planes, and fucking Gundam. Oh, I'm gonna fucking come. Oh, it's so good. And just the movement, the spacing, absolute fucking GOAT level shit right there. Breath of Fire, also insane. When I was told that Breath of Fire would be coming back, and I was like, oh cool, in the form of a fucking gacha phone game, I was like, it's over. It could not be more over. Fuck this life. I mean, Breath of Fire isn't even that good in terms of gameplay. It's literally just the artwork that's holding it. Breath of Fire 4 is worth playing just because, like, the character design and the sprites are so good. I'm not going to replay Breath of Fire 4, though. I played it back in the day, and even back then, the gameplay was underwhelming. It doesn't have much going for it in terms of combat, especially, besides just, like, it's just, like, the most basic-ass. Like, it has a lot of systems, but at the end of the day, it's not actually that entertaining. It's just, like, an artistic, you know, flex, but it's not good in terms of gameplay, I would say. All I can say is that I want to have sex with Ursula. Not the Little and the Mermaid Ursula, but Breath of Fire 4 Fox Girl Ursula. High quality character design right there. At least Capcom is still making some new games instead of just like sequel number 5000. Like we're getting Pragmata at least. The ooh, so cute and funny ooh game. Child crying faced emoji game. RE9, I don't really care about RE9. I've been trying to fucking play RE7 for months now, and I don't know, man. It's spooky and all that, but the first-person perspective RE games, they just don't do it for me. I have a very specific feeling that I look for in RE games, and it doesn't really have it. I think what I really want from RE games is like this Japanese interpretation of American action and horror movies. The sort of cultural feel it has. And I feel like RE7 is still in that vein, except that the recreation of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so accurate to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it no longer has that like Japanese Capcom feel to it. This is like, I don't know if I'm properly explaining this. It's a very vague concept I'm trying to explain here, but it doesn't feel Japanese enough for me to be truly engaged in it. It feels like it's properly westernized, and that's okay if that's what you want. But I need a little more of this sensibility that it's being made by Japanese people who only know America because they've seen a shit ton of like action movies like the early REs had. Eight is better. Lady D helped 8. I guess. I mean, I haven't played 8 either, so... When are people going to realize Resident Evil set the standard for unnecessary and excessive remakes? I thought that the RE4 remake was unnecessary, but I enjoyed it, and I liked it very much, so I'm not going to say it's unnecessary anymore. I did legitimately enjoy the remake, so... And I think the RE2 remake is probably one of the best versions of a remake you can have. I was shocked how the RE2 remake actually kind of feels like playing Resident Evil 2. Like, it really does have a similar feeling, despite it being like a completely different game. Like the rate at which ammo drops, the way you kind of navigate the hallways and shit. It's like, wow, this is actually, it feels like RE2. It's a really interesting balance that they were able to do on that. The Final Fantasy VII Remake, I don't think it's unnecessary, but they're not respecting the source material. I feel like RE2, they're actually respecting the source material. Like, how can you even call the Final Fantasy VII Remake a remake if they're gonna have Tifa's boobs not be massive? Like, that's all you need to know about Square, is that it took them forever to remake Final Fantasy VII, and when they remade Final Fantasy VII, the boobs weren't big enough. It basically disqualifies them from every single other aspect. It's just like, they're just like all the other video game companies. They might not be as bad as like Ubisoft and stuff, like where the entire personnel, like Bungie, is like every single person has left. but it's still a Ship of Theseus situation. It's exactly the same. Like, they don't have the same people who made the original games good anymore, and, you know, they don't know how to make them good. And even if they knew how to make them good, corporate, like, their head is still so far up their ass, and all they care about is making money in terms of, like, trying to release shitty phone games again and again. I think it's safe to say at this point that Square Enix is fucking done for, and it's not gonna come back. I say as I listen to Final Fantasy XIV music. Like, there's still very talented people, like, you know, the people who can make this great music soundtrack, but at the top level, I don't think there's anybody who can really organize the ideas into a coherent whole as a video game anymore. And of course, Final Fantasy XIV is, like, losing players right now with the latest expansions and stuff as well, so if they are gonna rebuild, it's gonna take a while. After my experience with the actual Final Fantasy XV game, I tried to enjoy Final Fantasy XV, the game, and I just couldn't. And I was just like, you know what? Video games I actually like, I don't have to try to enjoy them. This company is fucking done. The combat for Final Fantasy XV was just so shitty. Some of the worst combat I've played for an action RPG. There's just no, like, spacing, like, because you can teleport and shit. You just zip around pressing the button. If it had good combat system, I might have dealt with it, but I don't know. I just couldn't tolerate it. Final Fantasy XV looks boring as shit. It's it feels like a demo incomplete game. Masato Kato, Hironobu Sakaguchi, Masato Yasumi Matsuno, and Tetsuya Takahashi all left after the merger for a reason, yes. Nomura had to try and fail to fill their shoes. I mean, them allowing what's-his-name to make 3 Final Fantasy XIII games basically should tell you all you needed to know. And that was 15 years ago, so that was a long time ago. The writing has been on the wall for a long, long time. That being said, I still like my nostalgia bait content, so I was thinking of reinstalling Magic the Gathering Arena, because they're doing the Final Fantasy decks right now. But, you know, I don't have time to be playing MTG, of course. Final Fantasy XIII isn't even the top 10 favorite mainline Final Fantasy games at the official poll. Well, of course it's not. Why would it be? It's a fucking joke. There's infamous copy pasta on the Japanese internet where one of the Final Fantasy XIII characters is talking about how they have to do something, but every single word they say is just like a made-up word. It's like the Farushi of Lucy has to purge the cocoon and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's not Japanese, and people just fucking dabbing on it as a video game. It's a goddamn joke. The only legacy it has is on 4chan, the Toblerone comic of Lightning getting her spine pulled out in a doujin. Her spine is getting yanked out by one of a soldier's hands. That, and Sad's being mentioned as one of the few good black characters in video games, because he doesn't try and be like woke or anything. He's just a black character who's kind of a cool guy. and vanilla being hot, and that's about it. That's all they have. Turtle farming endgame? Yeah, I've seen people farming the fucking turtles. Everyone talks about how it's a corridor simulator, but then the people who defend it are like, no, it opens up. You just need to get to, you know, part 12 or some shit. You just need to get through 12 chapters. And then when you get to 12 chapters, what are people doing in the open world when it opens up? There's just like these giant-ass turtle monsters who are like 1 billion hit points or something, and I guess they have the best experience or some shit, and people are just like banging on this fucking turtle for 1 million rounds. I don't know. The combat system is pretty ass, if you ask me. The fact that you can just switch between like every single combat archetype means there's no sort of uniqueness to the characters. I don't know, man. I played it for a little bit, but there was not a single thing about Final Fantasy 13 except for the graphics at the time, which still looked good back then, that I was like even the slightest bit impressed by or enjoyed. And of course I fucking dropped that shit. In fact, I was playing it on a non-HD monitor because I didn't have an HD monitor with my PS3 at the time, and I couldn't even see what was going on because it wasn't built around non-HD monitors. I was just like, what the fuck? I can't read the numbers and stuff. It was just a very poorly thought out game. World of Final Fantasy is grossly underrated next to these big games. Yeah, but people don't want a self-referential spin-off game. That's the problem. Like, it's a good game for Final Fantasy fans, but you're losing the Final Fantasy fans when you don't make the good original, like, actual mainline number games. Like, if you already love Final Fantasy, World of Final Fantasy might be good. But it's ultimately just navel-gazing. Like, I want to experience the world of Final Fantasy in a proper, serious game. Not your, like, Pokemon spin-off. Is Lightning the DEI pro tag? She might actually be better off if she was a DEI pro tag. She's a self-insert Mary Sue creator's waifu pro tag. Which is even worse, somehow. Truly nothing is more destructive than when a creator is like, this female character is my waifu. It ends up fucking over the entire video game or anime or whatever. There's an infamous version of this in the Tales series, the Tales of Zestiria series. There's like 40-minute or 2-hour-long videos explaining what happened, but the director fell in love with like a specific female character in the Tales of Zestiria video game, and it wasn't the main girl. I think because he was a Seiyu voice actress fan. I tried to say a different F word there. And as a result, he was like, I'm gonna push this character. I can't remember if that's specifically what happened, but it was something like that. I said fan, guys, fan. Unariku and Pine. I mean, as bad as Final Fantasy X-2 was, it might actually not have been that bad. It had somewhat interesting gameplay, I'll give them that. It had pretty fun, fast-paced gameplay with different gimmicks for all the different jobs and stuff. Was it a good game? No. It was slightly entertaining in small amounts, I guess. Ten-2 was for the ladies. I thought it was for guys who wanted to masturbate looking at Yuna dance in her idol dress, but I guess if you like changing costumes all the time, it's more of a girls' game. The fact that Yuna, Riku, and Pine got different versions of every single costume with slight variations for each of them says that they still had like really high quality back then, like in terms of like art assets and stuff. You compare that to Final Fantasy 13, where you're essentially doing the same thing with the combat system, in which like you were switching between different archetypes very rapidly for different characters, except there was none of the visual stuff that would make it interesting, you know? I truly don't understand what they were trying to do with Final Fantasy 13. Like, nothing clicked. I can't believe, like, video game reviewers gave it any kind of a good review, but I guess that's the way it is. Final Fantasy X-2 is for otaku perverts, but the ladies mistook themselves for the target demographic. Many such cases. I personally just want to jack off to yaoi guys having gay sex, but all these Fujoshi women keep on pretending like they're the main demographic. I keep on telling them, no, this is for the guys. But women are like, I also like seeing gay men, you know? It's very awkward. It was Mirai Nikki before its time. It doesn't have enough collect-a-thon shit to be a true Mirai Nikki. Also, there's not enough, like, flowery dresses and stuff. Why do women like dresses so much? Can someone explain that to me? I guess it's the same reason why guys like guns. They just look cool. Or mecha. Whatever gene that makes men think robots look cool is probably the same gene that makes women think the dresses look cool. You can't explain the reasoning. Why do we like looking cute as hell? Why do we like customizing our characters? But why is it the big, fluffy, flowery dress that is supposed to look cute? I guarantee that if you gave guys the ability to dress their girlfriends in whatever outfit they wanted, like whatever outfit the guy wanted, and you were like, okay, today you want the girlfriend to look cute, guys would not choose one of these big, fluffy Mirai Nikki dresses, you know. It's definitely a female thing. The only exception is if you're a full-on lolicon and you want like the Rosen Maiden treatment. You're going to go full goth loli or something, then it might be slightly different. But I don't think guys appreciate big fluffy dresses. Guys wear kilt skirts too. Everybody should wear skin-tight bodysuits for maximum coom potential and not worry about how to pee at all. Lolita-style dresses are the antithesis of male gaze, so yeah, they literally are because you can't see tits and ass in them. It's only lace, lace, lace. Just fluffy lace and cute decorations forever. It's basically the Western or weave female version of wearing a burqa. They're donning the armor of female cuteness so men can't sexualize them. Unless they're wearing the sexy version of the goth loli dress, then it's slightly different. The easiest way to make men lose their boner is allow a woman to dress what she thinks isn't super cute. When you go full female fashion, no man can survive that. If we're going like full female fashion aesthetic without any male input, we end up with something like, based on my limited exposure to ads directed at females when I'm in Japan, it's like this. You have to have like the super eyelashes. And then you have to be like giga thin. This is like female art that you see in like ads and stuff when they're like trying to sell shit to whether it's like, what kind of shit do they have use this stuff? And I was gonna draw a goth loli, but it's always like stole or something like that. I don't know. Long ass dress. Make sure you have all these like accessories, like the fucking bag. You have to draw all the accessories, right? The fucking bag, the long ass dress. And there would be like, what would this be an ad for? I don't know, real estate, when they're trying to convince young women to rent a room in a specific part of Tokyo or something. Anorexia core, it really do be like this. Like this might actually be too thick. It's like about this. It has to be like truly fucking stick thin. One thing you 100% will not see is the fucking booba. If there's anything marketed at women, you will not see the fucking booba and the ass. Now we're suddenly getting into men territory. No amount of fat is allowed. There's too many women that don't have the booba to put the booba in the male marketing materials. The majority of men I've dated have tried to coax me into wearing sundresses or milkmaid dresses. If the men you were dating were trying to get you to wear those dresses, you must have very large, milky boobs. I can just imagine you right now. Surely you must look something like this with your beautiful sun hat. And yeah. Here we have an image of Death Striker's proportions right here. Let's make sure that we have like a ribbon here to tie the waist so we get the super thin waist as well. They overestimate my power. You just need to try harder. Let's make it a MILF. Boobs plus sundresses equals peak. Alas. I wish boobs and sundresses were real. Alas, women don't exist. I haven't seen one in hours. The other day there was a woman at the Planet Fitness wearing like the maximum yoga pants, and she was just like full sweaty mode, and I was like, I must not look at her even though she's directly in front of me. She was using the weights. She was doing the fucking squats while I was on the elliptical machine. So she was literally bending over with her ass directly pointed at my eyeballs while I'm trying to use the elliptical. And I'm like, there is also a mirror there, so she can tell. She will know that I'm staring at her ass cheeks. If I continue to stare at this, I must look downward. It's so suffering. Side tail for instant milfication. Yes. We have to figure out other hairstyles for Japanese moms. There's like the short haircut. There's two other hairstyles. There's like long hair plus glasses for the tiger mom getting their child to do too much studying, and their son hates them for this. And then there's also like the sporty, I don't know. There's like a few variations of this is just Aubrey's hairstyle right here. I need to work on a wider variety of shortcuts. But there's definitely a shortcut variation for the MILFs. And then I guess you have like the athletic, like ex-Yankee mothers with the ponytail hairstyle. But then you have to wear like jeans with that. There's the ponytail with hair with jeans mom who's like, oh, she's so reliable, and then she gets drunk and then gets fucked by the ugly bastard at like the local town hall meeting or something like that. That's all the patterns I can think of for now. God only gives the hardest challenges to his strongest soldiers. She was in the Butterface territory, so yeah, but what is this with women wearing the fucking skin-tight yoga pants nowadays? It's like we're going back to the 80s where everybody had the cami style high-cut leotard exercise outfits. Like, we don't have the high-cut portion, but in terms of like being able to completely make out your ass shape and stuff, we're right back there. Widow's peaks and shoulder-length hair, Misato hair. Yeah, I guess you're right. When you say widow's peaks, all I can think of is Vegeta, so Vegeta has truly ruined us. I guess women's have widow's peaks. Yeah, we don't need anorexic-chan here. We don't need all the MILFs. I guess, you're not supposed to be going bald if you're a woman. Vegeta defines the Widow's Peak. He's the true champion of Widow's Peaks. No one will ever be a greater Widow's Peak guy than Vegeta. Alright, I'm gonna end the stream here. I've been drawing more details like as I complete the page, so there's less stuff for me to fiddle around with on stream, but I guess it's better that way. Alright, see you around, guys. Good night. Have a nice night, guys. See ya.